You have agency, history is not a cycle, and anyone who tells you that it is fundamentally wrong. Cynics and pessimists have been blown out of the water so many times in history, you don't want to be on their side. So what I'm trying to do is convert cynics and pessimists into bloomers and optimists. So that's what this video is going to do. If you think history is a cycle, stick around, and we're going to convince you, one, to be happier and like step into your own ability to do things, and two, to toss out that old terrible idea. Okay, so this is the Autodidact channel. We're reading the story of philosophy, and right now they're talking about Plato. And in it, basically, Plato talks about the different cycles of government. It goes like, it starts with like, you know, small hunter-gatherer societies, then those evolve with some power structure because they need to defend themselves, and then those people get power, and then they like the power, and then they end up ruling, and then people get pissed off, so they revolt against that person, and then when they revolt, either another dictator comes to power, or sometimes, rarely, democracy emerges, or aristocracy, and there's all these different forms, and they all kind of cycle through. Revolutions have happened so many times in history, they're kind of just like, and it's just like a revolution happens, and then somebody else gets in power, they get power hungry, thing, bada bing, bada boom, is what it is. And so one could come to the erroneous conclusion when reading history that it's all just over before it even begins. Nothing happens, and it's just, yeah, like, yes, right now we're in a temporary democracy, that'll change soon, something else is gonna happen, is what it is, man. Nothing you can really do about it. It's just it's forces larger than me at play, and I can't influence anything. I'm a piddly little human that can't do much. Do you hear how cringe that sounds, though? So I'm going to dismantle this very simply. In ancient Athens, they did not have the nuke. They didn't have airplanes or microphones or cameras or ovens or electricity even. Well, they tested a little bit, there's a story, but it's not the same. Yes, we live in a democracy, and so did Athens, and there's patterns to human events, and it's stupid to not pay attention to patterns, because it's very good to educate yourself on how humans in the past behave, because we're still humans, and we still behave in the same way, and mob mentality, et cetera, but like, it's not cyclical. You can change things. History is not just a wave back and forth. I've literally heard that take before, and it like boils my blood. History is like ridiculously not it's not a wave. If anything, it's a spiral. So like, yes, there's seasons, and you can like, you know, if you're spiraling around a planet and you like come back to the same point and you're looking from that angle, you're like, oh, I guess we're in the same spot. But you're not. You're clearly farther away if you look at the size of this, like you've gone outward. Same way with history. It's like we cycle back and forth, but it's not the same spot. It's way farther out. We're dealing with new things, new stuff's happening, new people have done things, and people have done things to change the course of history. You're not at the whim of just random events that are nothing. Like, if you actually read history, patterns emerge, yes, but, so hypothetically, if you right now were talking to Plato, and you're like, hey, Plato, like, yeah, you were right, man, history's cyclical. He'd be like, you have nukes? What? You did what? You'd be like, yeah, man, you were right, though. It's cyclical history. What are you talking about? What about cycles is splitting the atom? What? It's so clearly not what? We had like stone tools. That was like the peak. You're joking. And you'd be like, I'm imitating a cringe cynic. I'd be like, yeah, man, but you know, it's like we're in a democracy. You guys had a democracy back in Athens. It's the same thing. You got here in a car. What? That's like you put in a liquid, and then you press it, and then it goes. You don't have to feed it grass, and you can go like hundreds of kilometers in a single. And there's airplanes, and you went to that moon. Like what I'm trying to say is that it's stupid. It's a bad take. The correct take is it's a spiral, and that you can do things, and that people have pushed that spiral out. And there's cycles that happen, but what you want to do is lean into that spiral. You want to bump that spiral so that we start making progress. Progress is happening. Things are happening. Nothing is the same as it was. There's rhymes, but it's not identical. I've heard that take before, and it's like, it's just so not true. History is not a cycle. It's a spiral. Tune in for more philosophy or whatever book I'm reading at the time. Right now, we're going through this book. It's a great book. A lot of content in it. A lot of stuff I like ranting about. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, take it easy. I love you, Godspeed, and I'll see you in the next one, which is going to be tomorrow.